Good afternoon. Welcome to Military Strategies Live, December 20th, 2025. Cool. The United States is launching an air operation over Syria against the Islamic State. The situation is worldwide. The other day we saw it in Australia, also in Spain just recently, and in a few days we'll have video as well. The Islamic State is resurging, and Israel is closely watching what is happening in Syria. There have also been warnings of attacks in the United States, in New York the other day, and arrests in Australia as well. Once again, an attack on the Christmas market. In Germany, the situation is critical. Family, do you have any comments? Let's begin.
Good afternoon, family. Welcome to Military Strategies. We are live right now to tell you what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in the world. What is this threat? The new Islamic State, an Islamic State that is coming for us, an Islamic State that will never stop. We'll show you what happened on the map. We have exclusive footage of the response to the attack by a member of the Islamic State, who was also a security agent for al-Jolani. Pay attention to this because there's a lot of debate about whether it was the Islamic State or a member of al-Jolani who carried out this attack. Here we are again on Military Strategies. Let's shed some light. Let's shed light on the shadows. Let's shed light on something that affects us all.
También.
A few days ago, there was an attack against the police in Murcia, Spain, by a man armed with a knife in the name of Allah the Great against the police. The Spanish Ministry of the Interior officially stated it was not an attack. I'm going to show you the footage so you can judge for yourselves whether it's an attack or not. We'll also discuss the situation in Gaza, which we haven't seen for days, along with the issue in Venezuela and other events. Also, we have something exclusive. Pay attention to this. Exclusively here. In Military Strategies, a blockbuster in Jenin, Judea-Samaria, we have a military operation carried out in the last few hours in Jenin. Get ready because there's free cinema today, Saturday, on Military Strategies. What a story we have here. This isn't over yet. The story of Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and Iran isn't over yet. Iran is rearming. They have new missiles, new developments. It's crazy. Well, what happened? What was going on a few days ago? A member officially, according to Jolani, of the Islamic State, unofficially and also officially a member of their security, carried out an attack. And he took the lives of American National Guard soldiers who were operating in Syria. Specifically, the photograph we see here, a sergeant, also specifically photograph of a sergeant. We're talking about Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tobar, and we're also talking about... One second. I'm going to check the names here exactly, excuse me, because it's a bit complicated. I think this is Sergeant Torres. That's right, it's Sergeant Torres we're seeing in the scene. And the one we see now is Howard.
What?
Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, 29 years old, and Sergeant Torres, 25 years old. Both assigned in Syria to provide security in the fight against Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. And a member who had access to the base who went out on patrol, apparently with the same American soldiers, who acted as an interpreter. for them. Well, 3 guards were also injured, and besides this one, they died. This has to show us that it's impossible to trust a detachment, a military deployment of this kind. In a combat zone as dark as Syria, where anyone can be from any group, and where there are no differences at all, there's no way to know what's going on. The response from the Secretary of War of the United States of America, was clear. Those who attack our interests, who attack us, we will pursue them and kill them. Literally, in fact, I'm going to show you the photograph so you can clearly see that nothing has been cut here at all. He has been clear about this issue. He says, the savage who did this was killed by Allied forces. Let it be known if they attack the United States anywhere in the world, they will spend the rest of their brief and anxious life knowing that the United States will hunt them down, find them, and kill them mercilessly. That's what the secretary says. He doesn't say we'll arrest or pursue you, or that justice will come after you. He simply says we'll kill you. What exactly is he referring to? To this other one. In another, the Secretary of War. Earlier today, United States forces began Operation Eye of the COM in Syria to eliminate Islamic State of Iraq and Syria soldiers, their infrastructure and weapons. It was a response to the December 13th attack in Palmyra, Syria. This is not the beginning of a war, it's a declaration of revenge. The United States of America under President Trump, under the leadership of President Trump, will never hesitate to defend our people and avenge our people. So how has the scene been? How has the scene been? It has been. In Syria, there are areas where the Islamic State still officially governs and operates. They move through the desert. I'm going to prepare a map for you here that I've been working on for the last few hours. It's interesting. These are the 4 locations where there have been attacks by the United States, a coalition in which F-15 planes have been used, and the famous A-10S have also been used here. If we look closely, this is Syria. I'm going to put the watermark here so you can see it a little better. There we go. It's an arid area. There's nothing there. The Islamic State, which at one point had almost 80% of Syria under its control, has been reduced to small areas. Areas in Palmyra, areas in the middle of the desert, areas near Deir al-Zor. Small camps in the middle of nowhere. But they still remain another threat. In fact, the Islamic State as such is officially very weakened in Syria. And it lives. It lives underground in caves. They have made tunnels. They have built tunnels. They have created a series of underground infrastructure, and they feel very comfortable there. But now we have to add another event. This same week, the attack in Australia happened, where we saw what happened on Sydney Beach. Hanukkah celebration. That brutal terrorist attack happened. There is an ongoing investigation into the police's performance and what really happened. How could there have been such a major security failure in this regard? Similarly, the United States was detaining members of jihadist groups in the United States who were planning to carry out an attack in New York. The German police also detained a group of jihadists who were planning an imminent attack in Germany. But just recently, just a few hours ago, well, a couple of days ago, it happened again. In Bondi Beach, another group of jihadists was detained again as they were heading to the beach while a vigil was being held for those killed during Hanukkah. Unbelievable. Notice that the killers of the Bondi Beach attack had been in the Philippines training. They had entered with a fake passport to receive training. At least that's how it was declared by the Philippines. They had entered with a passport. I think it was from India, from one of those countries, to receive training on one of the Philippine islands. There is a presence of the Islamic State there, at least one of its branches. This attack, which we are seeing as something inconceivable, was officially carried out by the Islamic State. But who are these people? Who are they? Where are they? What are they doing? Is there any difference between them? Never. Well then, let's roll the video. This one we see here is the killer. The attack in Australia was a few months earlier. It's a flagship pro-Palestinian demonstration, but never one where it was openly demanded that Jews be sent to the gas chamber. There we see it. But his father wasn't alone. The other interpreter in this story. Both of them were actively participating in the protest. Notice how close the police were to him, just a few meters away, less than a meter, about 50 centimeters from a terrorist. It couldn't be. On that occasion, it couldn't be. This was the moment when they arrived in the United States. The bodies of the two soldiers fallen in combat in Syria. A very difficult moment. We send our special condolences to the families and to the people of North America, of the United States of America, in the face of something that affects us all. We must realize that what's happening in Australia, Israel, and the Middle East is also occurring in Spain. And now we're going to see it. Because we have to start thinking that there are organizations that, with everything that has happened with Hamas, are now looking for their space, looking to assert themselves, looking to say, we're here. It's not just Hamas that's fighting for global jihad, not just Iran, we are too, and that's where the Islamic State comes in. And that's perhaps why we're seeing everything that's happening. A year ago, Europe saw mass run-over attacks again. Berlin, Christmas market, it happened again. Horrific images. I remember we did a special program at that time. Well, now let's see what was happening in Spain. In a park? Murcia. A province, a community, and a city where the immigration rate of Islamic people is very high. Did this happen? An individual in the park just walking alone attacks the door. The police arrive. Pulls out a knife. Starts yelling at the big ones. But eventually has to be taken down. Officially, once again, the government of Spain. He says he's mentally disturbed. I don't know if you have to be sane to be a terrorist. To me, they're all mentally disturbed. They believe the best way to reach paradise is by killing people. You don't have to be very sane to think like that. It's the same thing. That's how the Hamas jihadists think. Images of the United States' response to what was happening in Syria. We can see it here. Famous A-10 planes, Apache helicopters, now with Hellfire missiles. We saw the F-15SA. Now let's discuss them. These planes, the F-15S in the future, will replace the A-10 planes, the flying tanks. We already know and understand what the future of the United States Air Force is for ground attack. It's called the F-15. It's a plane that can carry a very, very large number of munitions. This one we see is the A-10. It's the plane that's going to replace the so-called secret weapon, which is the cannon it has in front. The A-10, it's a Gatling gun, which is devastating. Wherever it fires, it's made to destroy columns of tanks wherever it fires. There's nothing left. But nevertheless, it's a plane that's expensive, that's slow. It's very old and lacks electronic warfare systems. Basically, yes, it has incredible endurance. It can come back almost destroyed and still land. There have been images of these planes badly damaged and returning to base. But nevertheless, the future of the Air Force is looking more for precision. And so the A-10 is irrelevant. It has no place, though it's a formidable aircraft for this mission. But the F-15, however, can carry out other types of operations, much more comprehensive and much more precise. Look here, a document declassified by the United States of America about the air operation against the Islamic State. And before we take a look, please give your likes. It's super important so the channel isn't censored and so we can reach a lot more people. We're close to 10,000 people, please. It's super important. Thank you for your memberships. I'll make an announcement tonight. We'll talk about the most dangerous man. In Venezuela, the man whom Maduro Diosdado and the Venezuelan armed forces, the cartel of the Suns, trust him for victory. And something even worse, don't miss it tonight. La Bestia the Butcher. Special program coming up in a little while here on Military Strategies. And later on, we'll also have a special on Venezuela to explain exactly what's happening. Why was there a delay in launching the military operation? So that people understand that things are very, very different. Otherwise, like us, we want things not to decline, for there to be no pessimism. Tonight, you're going to understand a lot of things. And who is really being harmed by this delay in launching an attack against Venezuela? Are you going to see it before you see this? And well, let me remind you that we have a movie night. In a little while, we're going to watch an Israeli military operation in Jenin. It's crazy. But now let's go to the map. We were talking about how the Islamic State controls certain areas. The desert doesn't control any major city. They have become nomadic beings who are lost anywhere. In tents, they move around in pickup trucks. They move on small motorcycles. They try to go unnoticed. They have made caves underground, under the sand, and that's where they live. It's amazing because the images we've been seeing make it look like it would be impossible to live in a place like that. That's all that's left of that Islamic State. Nothing. Millions of dollars from those times. One of the countries that were formed, they formed a country between Iraq and Syria, which was worth billions, controlled the city of Raqqa, among many others. Dear Arzur, Raqqa, Aleppo. But it was absolute madness. The entire western area of Iraq was under their control, and they almost reached the gates of Baghdad. No one, Mosul. It was a city of the Islamic State. Millions of people lived under the Islamic State. The United States, quote-unquote, finished them off. But they didn't manage to finish them off completely. Take a look. Here in the areas that have been bombed, there's nothing. You can't see anything. Apparently, there's nothing in these cliffs around here. There are caves where they're hiding inside, and now we're going to see the footage. Interesting topic, if they've lost capability to fight in Syria, because it's obvious. And they come to these small villages, what you see around here. But that loss of capability in Syria has made them take their abilities to an international level. That is to say, they still have their sleeper cells that are everywhere. We see them around here. Those Islamic State camps? Lost and abandoned United States bases have been taking over places. Strategic. And that's where the situation is. But of course, what we should ask ourselves here is, to what extent Damascus, that is, Yolani, knows about this story? Because Yolani was their ally for a while. Yolani led al-Qaeda and cooperated with the Islamic State until they tried to dominate, prompting Yolani to break away. It's Yolani who signs the separation of the Islamic State from al-Qaeda. What happens now is that Yolani, well, it seems like he's going for the Nobel Peace Prize. It's an incredible thing. Geopolitics, geostrategy is something amazing. But let's watch the video to see what happened. There, you see it? The ammunition falling. Footage. Very, very intense. What we're seeing him right now, a lot of precision. Bombing small spots in the middle of the desert near main roads where these vermin are hiding. The question is, why has the United States of America waited so long knowing they were there to attack them? Why do we always have to carry out attacks that are reactive, not preventive? If they know where they are, if there's intelligence about where they are, why not strike first before they do? These are things people might ask themselves and often don't have answers to, but the images do. We see that very heavy ammunition has been used. That's why the importance of the F-15 is that it's a plane that provides military capability. Superior and allows us to carry out missions like this one. We are right now. 11,000 people. Let's go with your super chat. Let's go with your comments, family. I want to know your opinion because it's important too. These people. All of these are allies of Nicolas Maduro's regime. Quis volar, never Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Iran, all allies of Nicolas Maduro.
Okay.
Even if it doesn't seem like it. They all work under the same flag. They are organizations dedicated to crime. Besides doing what they do, but they finance their activities with substances, human trafficking, arms trafficking, fuel trafficking, and other rare earths. Also in Syria's case. Archaeological sites. Palmyra. The city of Palmyra, one of the most historically important archaeological sites in the world, a United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization World Heritage Site, was plundered by the Islamic State. They took all the ruins that were there, all the works of art that were left around, and sold them around the world. A major business that earned them millions of dollars. Dima, thank you very much, Veronica. Welcome, Isaac. Let's start contributing. Thank you very much to Isaac Rodriguez Tranquil. He wants Spain out of NATO. Stop paying. I don't know what Trump wants. Hate him. Thank you very much, Andrea. Phenomenal weaponry deployed against Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Isn't the combat capability deployed quite powerful? And it's true. A significant number of aircraft have been deployed. We should find out if these aircraft have been deployed from Jordan or from Qatar. They were first deployed to Jordan, from Jordan, then there, or they did an in-flight refueling, as we can see here in the image. Look, this type of ammunition that this plane carries, the A-10 carries a fuel. External tank, meaning they have traveled from a more or less considerable distance. With this fuel tank they have here, this external fuel pylon. And then it carries drop bombs with a joint direct attack munition kit. They're mounted there to improve stability and accuracy. It's a flying tank. And here we see, for example, the missile that has eyes, the Hellfire. This missile with what you're seeing there, directly on the way. Image to the operator to follow the target. It's wild. Each missile costs $600,000. It's expensive, but it's very effective. And there are different versions. There's the anti-tank version, the high-explosive version, and there's a special version that's used a lot by the United States and also by Israel. Not officially, but unofficially, yes. It's the Ninja version.
Yeah.
What Ninja Blades does is deploy some blades, reducing the explosive capacity, and when it's used against a vehicle, for example, collateral damage is minimized. Those blades enter the vehicle and slice through everything in their way. It's like a Japanese knife. More or less like this, just so you get an idea. With that, among other things, Qasem Soleimani was killed. Qasem Soleimani was one of the first to try this kind of weapon, the Blade 9 version. Or 9X, which is what it's called. But yes, without a doubt, it's an important point. The United States is no longer like the Democratic Party. I remember the times when there were the peak pressure during Israel's war, when daily drone attacks targeted both Israel and American bases. Inside Syria, the Democratic Party took no action. American casualties occurred, but the Democratic Party did nothing. Kamala Harris didn't order any attacks, neither did Joe Pem. Here we've seen it clearly. 2 dead with a major attack against United States troops. And the United States has gone all out. Even so, it's not enough. Because they attacked 4 or 5 targets in the desert. Islamic State of Iraq and Syria is not going to end. The risk from these people is not going to end. What Europe must realize is that the threat is there. It's already there. The threat is already there. So we have to realize this. And now, family, a promise is a promise. Let's change the subject. Let's change the subject. Israel, my dear Israel. Situation in Gaza. If I'm going to be clear about this, Israel has never disarmed, and it will not disarm. Trump is pushing for us to move into phase 2. That is, to make a move toward phase 2 of the agreement. They are talking or discussing how to give shape to a force, an international coalition, so that they can use force or not. That is to say, it's still not known which soldiers are going to go. The Indonesian municipality was going to send them, but now it says it won't because the mandate and under what conditions are not clear. What are the objectives? They don't know. We have the super chat objectives open. Sorry, it was closed before. Nobody really knows what the objective is, whether it's going to be dismantled or not, or if it's never going to be dismantled. I think right now what we have is a tactical pause. I mean, right now there is one. A break. Israel's taking a break. Hamas is also taking a break, no doubt about it. Both are taking a break, but they will face fighting again soon, very soon. In fact, there are still clashes in the Yellow Zone. There are still incidents, but they just don't come to light. Or are they trying to keep a low profile so there isn't more political pressure on Netanyahu in the United States? The other day, Israel took out the second in command of Hamas's military chief. The United States got angry. They said to be careful with carrying out those kinds of attacks, as they're outside of what was agreed upon. But he's Hamas's military chief. Hamas isn't there to make peace. Hamas is there to attack Israel. And they're not disarming. They're not holding up their end of the ceasefire. In fact, we've already had no less than 806 days of war. So, of course. But also, well, I have some breaking news. Netanyahu. He will present something to Donald Trump. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. Family.
Yeah.
Netanyahu is going to present to Donald Trump during his upcoming visit to the United States the new plan to attack Iran. Hold on. Prime Minister Netanyahu will present the plans for a possible attack against Iran to President Trump during his upcoming visit to the country. Israel is concerned because after the 12-day war, Iran is regaining its nuclear capability and building ballistic missiles. It is enriching uranium again. And it is an existential threat to Israel. This happens when things are not finished. That you have to go back and back and back. Is it the same with Gaza? The other day, when we had such a great show on Enlace Judeo and my friends invited me, I said it clearly. Israel hasn't won the war isn't over. You can't win or lose when a war isn't over. And what we're seeing here, or what's happening, is an example, but here we're seeing it. Israel knows that the threat of ballistic missiles is serious. One of these mornings, Iran could wake up and launch 500 missiles at once. And it's going to hurt Israel. The positive aspect of the war was that during those 12 days, Israel suffered little damage from the attacks. And the reason the air defense worked so well, because it worked really well under the pressure it was under, is because they were preparing. The United States deployed, Israel was deploying, everything was on alert. But at any moment, they could launch a barrage of 800 missiles all at once without warning. And then we would have a problem. And they don't need to be nuclear weapons. We've already seen what those kinds of weapons do to buildings. It's absolute madness. I've seen it when I was in Israel. I was there and I saw the building. I mean, it's a serious issue. Iran is not exactly willing
Exactamente.
to come over. Hello. So there we already have the first topic about Lebanon. They're also going to talk about the disarmament of Hezbollah. Hezbollah is not disarming. Hezbollah continues its actions repeatedly. Well, Hezbollah isn't disarming either. And if they're not disarming, then what is Israel supposed to do? Well, what Israel has to do, I think it's clear. And not just that. Of course. That it has no choice. It has to go on. It has to go on, one after another. And keep pressing. Obviously, it has to keep pressing. It's doing well. That is, attacks on very specific targets, on arsenals, on tunnels, on critical infrastructure. All right. And that's how it has to continue. But we might also see a military reactivation on the ground there at some point. Because the Lebanese army is unable to disarm Hezbollah, and since they can't disarm them, will Israel have to step in and get directly involved? But it's going to be the same in Gaza. It's the same in Gaza. So that's where the issue lies. Now, let's move on to the movie. Jenny. Let's go with Jenny. We're still here live with the family. Please, we're missing a lot of likes. Pay attention to this. Operation Fauda. And I love it when we see these kinds of operations because we learn a lot about how the shaman works. The Israeli anti-terrorist unit, the Simbad, and all the intelligence forces.
Es
It's impressive. We are ready. Family, where are you visiting us from? And please write it there in the chat, and we're going to watch that video now. Streets of Jenin, hostile area. For those who don't know where Jenin is, we're going to see it right now. Let's go to Jenin. Neato. Literally, it's a nest of terrorists. This is Jenin. There's an event there weekly. No-go zone for Jews. Although the other day a girl was kidnapped, they wanted to take her to Jenin. Look, Jenin. Good thing they saved her in time. Otherwise, what would have happened would have been really serious. There's another hospital there called Shifa. What a coincidence. This one's smaller but keeps about the same structure. It has a swimming pool. Hospitals there have swimming pools. Jenin, look, an environment. Very stylish. Gaza. It has more open areas, more closed areas. It's in valley areas, small hills, a nest for snipers. Streets where you can get trapped quickly and it's hard to get out of there. And that's where the troops have gone in. Let's watch the video. Green circle, Israeli troops. Red circle, enemy. We also see Israeli troops emerging from the street above. They follow him as we see the support vehicle moving down the street behind. I'm going to try to do something. I'm going to put the cursor to explain a little bit about what we're seeing from the air. And it'll be much easier to understand. All right, there we are. There, they're making contact with the target.
Yo.
Okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Realize that these people, the shadow unit, which is Fauda, speak perfect Arabic. They communicate with them. In urban language.
Urban.
Goodbye, bastards.
Bastards, goodbye.
Goodbye, bastards.
Look, how are they coming in? The first one breaking in is carrying a shield. Look, now. He's going in with a shield, with a pistol.
The one breaking in. First, shield up.
Ready.
They're wearing night vision goggles. The first one with the shield is also wearing a GoPro and recording, which is likely streaming, or a type of camera streaming simultaneously. Private streaming. For them, I mean, so that in the command center, they can see the operation that's being carried out and the commanders can see how the soldiers are working.
No.
He brings it so we can pay attention here. Let's put it on. Let's open it up a little more. The image also shows a flashlight, that gun to dazzle those who are inside the room so their view is blocked. But look at the environment, so complicated, so difficult. And they have to do this in complete silence without a single shot so they don't attract the attention of the whole city. Because of course, gunshots can be heard. Word gets out that the Israel Defense Forces is there and it turns into a trap. See, they're stopping everyone. And that's another one of the operations. You just think, oh my God, do you realize they're out there on those streets right now and they could come out from any corner? It's a very, very complicated environment where they have to study for days. They have to study the whole scenario. Look, check this out here. This image is really good. We see a team here at the top, right in the center of the upper image, right up there, where I'm pointing with the pointer. There's a team there. The main assault team is here. This is the support team to cut off this street. The black spots you see are heat signatures that could be people. Here, we're seeing how one of the targets is escaping. That's the image we'll see of the arrest. And notice the drone, how important the drone is in these operations. Because if you didn't have this image, you wouldn't be able to see where other hostiles might come from, where threats might come from. The thermal camera is vital. Here, this saves lives.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Tanu, he's saying, Tanu, come here, or something like that. Shut up. And he says, lie down. Of course.
Shut up.
That's what I'm telling you if you didn't have that image. Because the drone operator is talking to them and saying, hey, target, is he going down the street? Do you have him at 50 meters? Did he go inside or just look out? I'm not sure. It's vital. It's very vital to carry out an operation like this. All right, let's hear your questions and comments.
Adios.
The issue of Judea and Samaria is a very, very complicated one. It's an issue that I think Israel still isn't clear about what it's going to do. I think it's still not clear. Carla, thanks. Miriam, hugs. Strategies and moderators, can you handle us? And Israel, hi. These are tough days, huh? These are days today I saw published. I don't have any information because honestly, right now I'm in chaos with so many things. But it seems that the police have arrested an individual suspected of jihadism in Madrid. When he was heading to a Jabbat event for the lighting of the Hanukkah candles in Madrid. In a square? It seems that this individual was heading there and the police, who had him under surveillance, have arrested him. I'm going to show you here what has been published. It's just that I don't have more information. Why hasn't more been published? He was probably just an individual, right? Being watched and the police had to arrest him, even if they don't have enough evidence to obviously prevent an attack. That's it? He's in a situation. Very, very complicated, very complicated. I don't know. I'm going to put the photo here for us, he says. This is how I arrested a man wanted for terrorism when he was about to go to the Hanukkah celebration at Pedro Chirolo Square today in Madrid. The man was arrested 25 times. This happened yesterday. I'm going to show the photograph of the aforementioned man. This is what has been leaked. Madrid, Murcia, Madrid. And now here. I think the government needs to quickly address this situation and take action. Very, very direct, very direct. More from Judea and Samaria. Look over there. Again. Stones and more stones. What do you do with this population?
Yum.
This population will never have a ceasefire. What Donald Trump says about it being all love. Don't even think about it. We have to be realistic. It's a very serious generational problem. And it needs a radical change.
Got it.
A radical change from the United Nations and its policy toward international aid. Major educational changes are coming, along with the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration issue. I think they're going to ban it. The United States is going to declare it a terrorist organization from what they've been saying. Unbelievable. A United Nations group labeled a United States terrorist organization. Israel must also change its mindset in this situation.
Yeah.
Especially for future generations. Because that's how it is. Imagine not everything that's being created and everything that's around.
Ew.
Of course, we also have people like Pedro Sanchez who shakes hands with Abbas. He's the one who's supposed to control this group of disturbed urban terrorists. He doesn't do it. Abbas pays him. Abbas pays money so that these guys attack in Israel. That's reality. That's the reality. And it's a problem, a serious problem. It only helps a little. What is he doing in Gaza? Destroying tunnels, Israel continues inside the yellow line. Destroying tunnels one after another. Someday, I think we'll have the final map of the tunnels and we're going to be surprised. The catacombs of Paris or those of Rome will be nothing compared to the size and length of those in Gaza. I think it has more tunnels than anywhere else. Some are destroyed. Others are filled with cement so they can't be used again. But really, the situation is there. It doesn't change much. Soldiers keep falling now and then. The issue of Gaza? We have to see what will happen. This is the same guy who beheaded people with the sword on October 7th. For example, I think his name is Abu Sufyan. I think they eliminated him. This one too, and he was a journalist. This one was in nests. This one saw the Vivas take them away, but then the world said they were nest journalists. We still have to make the video with my brother about Jewish history, Ariel Kanievsky, whom I'm looking forward to seeing again. I'm looking forward to going to Israel again. And we have to do the series that we have recorded. We have it recorded, ready. When things calm down a bit regarding Venezuela, and we have space and time, we have to do it. But you're going to be amazed. I mean, the things you're going to see and discover. It's going to be tremendous. It's going to be very, very, very tremendous. So we're going to see Donald Trump. Let's see what Donald Trump does. Because Trump never backs down. Iran is building missiles. Peace only exists when someone is defeated. Israel. Let's hope it's not. We have to be realistic. With this subject, at least. All right, family, we're going to leave because we have to prepare the next show that's coming up now. Feiert ihr that? So viel Sucht. The butcher of Nicolas Maduro's regime. I won't say any more. Because also yesterday he gave a statement. Cabello gave him clear instructions. To a sinister guy. To go after dissidents inside Venezuela, but also outside Venezuela. Let's talk about Alexander Granco Arteaga. Dangerous show, dangerous information, what we're about to share, but that's how this channel is. We always take risks, but the truth comes to light. See you in the next show here on Military Strategies. Greetings.